So Simon, anyways, she was saying to me, "Oh, give it to me! Oh, give it to me! Give it to me! I'm soaking! I'm so wet! Give it to me!" Hey, I paid for the umbrella.
Well, yeah, if you bought it. Hi guys, welcome back to another Yonder Mountain Podcast. Myself and my good mate and esteemed colleague, Mr. Toffee Head. We just want to start off really by saying thank you very much to everybody for all your kind comments and interaction from the last two podcasts. It's been great, mate, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. And we're back again today on another Friday to talk about another very important topic. What we're talking about today, Simon?
Today, my mate, we're going to be talking about sleep and the importance of sleep.
Mm-hmm. And it is a vitally important thing, sleep, isn't it? The way I see it, or the way I look at it, is sleep isn't just something you do to end off a day because you're knackered. It's actually your preparation for the next day. And if you look at it that way, it's a lot more of a motivational thing, and it does put a lot of scrutiny, doesn't it, on the importance of getting that good night's sleep.
I like your take on that, mate. Yeah, starting to focus on getting off to the day in a good way.
Well, absolutely.
I like it.
And I know you've got a lot of knowledge. You've looked at this quite a bit, Simon, haven't you? Do you want to talk us through what are the key stages, really, of sleep?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of research going on behind the scenes, about sleep. Still, even in 2024, they're still researching sleep because some of it's a little bit unknown. But it's generally recognised as 4 stages of sleep, and it's split into 2 categories. You've got non-REM, and then you've got REM. REM for rapid eye movement. I'm sure we've all heard about it, when your eyes are giving it 6 out.
Yeah.
And there's a perfectly good reason for one. We'll come on to that in a minute. But you've got the first 3 stages are non-REM, and it really takes you from that transition of being awake to being asleep. And there's a lot of chemistry change goes on in your body, and actually there's almost as much goes on during your sleep as when you're awake, believe it or not. But you've got to kind of go through these 4 stages. And the 4 stages usually take, everybody's different, but about 90 minutes, roughly speaking. And every 90 minutes, you'll reset and you'll go back through that cycle. Okay? And it's this whole process of going through these 4 stages of sleep which will dictate whether you have a good night's sleep or whether you have a rubbish night's sleep. Now, the very first stage, going from wakefulness into non-rapid eye movement, stage 1, is very, very interesting. Have you ever noticed, mate, when you're not quite sure if you're asleep or not, right? But you think you're asleep, and almost like you're in this kind of weird trancey dream thing, and you feel like you're falling, or... Yeah,
for me, it's often something like a kick out of the leg, or I feel like randomly like my fist will clench, bit of a twitch like that. Yeah, often happens. Yeah.
You get that? I get it whereby I feel like I'm falling.
Yeah.
And I wake up like with a jolt, or I'll say something, double D's in his room, and you go,
not in the same bed.
Not in the same bed, mate. Not in the same bed. We don't do that anymore. I'm joking. And you can say something when you get into this weird kind of trancey state. And it's called hypnagogia, which is an interesting word. And essentially all it means is there's a change in chemistry. During wakefulness, we've got serotonin, we've got dopamine. And when we go into sleep, there's a drop in natural light. Our eyes take in this information, send a signal through to the hippocampus and also the pineal gland. I'll come on to that in a little while anyway. And it starts to suppress that serotonin chemical and introduce melatonin, which is the sleep chemical. And that's how you get from wakefulness into sleep. And you start off on stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, non-rapid eye movement. And then you've got that final stage, REM. That's where the magic happens.
So what exactly happens then when you sleep?
Well, again, they're still doing loads of research on this, but what they do know, and this is scientifically backed as well, guys, is certainly through the first 3 stages, there's some real interesting things happen. First of all, in your brain, what happens is your brain's split into hemispheres, as we know. You've got your front and your back part of your brain, and it's for short-term and long-term memory. So for our own survival, what happens is when you go into these sleep stages, your brain filters out all the crap that's happened through the day, everything that you've done, all the interactions that you've had, been walking with a dog, you've been talking to your lass, you've been doing what you've eaten, what you've picked up, all of these different things, your brain filters it out. And the important stuff, it puts into long-term memory because it's for your kind of survival, really. And the crap, usually, when me and you have been drivelling on at work about nonsense, get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. So when you go into the first stages, you've got your brain's doing all of this filtering, which is really, really important. It's not only your brain at work either. Your body and your central nervous system is being rejuvenated. Your immune system, it's called your lymphatic system, is being rejuvenated. Your bone marrow is being rejuvenated. Your muscles are getting rebuilt. It's like, how can I put it? Electric car, right? You've been using your electric car all day, and there's a notice on the dashboard, and it says running low, running low. Well, that's like when we're coming towards sleep. You plug your electric car in, and it gets charged up. Well, that's what happens during these stages of sleep. So you've got the mental things, the brain activity, and you've got the kind of physiological changes as well. There's loads happening when you're asleep, mate. Loads.
Well, absolutely, and hence, obviously, why we're talking about it today, it is so important, isn't it? Because it is that recovery time for your body, and also, as I say, that what I said at the start of the beginning, it's that preparation of the next day, isn't it? And I suppose from your point of view, and saying, what would you say are the best tips from your point of view, anyways, to get a good night's sleep?
Everybody's different, but I think for me, it's about things like keeping off your phone. Keeping off your phone. That's a really important one. I know you can put the blue light filter on your phone. Loads of phones have got it, right? But I tried wherever possible. It's difficult sometimes because you can get stuck in the vortex.
Yeah.
Memes, and all you can. It's so easy to do. Or you're messaging your mate, or whatever. But when you're on your phone, it's stimulating you and it's keeping you away to avoid that. I know having like food, I try not to eat late. If I eat past like 7 o'clock, it aggravates me, and it just means that your body's still processing the food and it's being active, and therefore that stops me sleep. Alcohol's a big one. I don't really drink a lot anyway, but if I've had a few cans or something like that, a few tins in the house, it takes us ages to get off to sleep, and then I'm not having a particularly good sleep. I don't smoke or vape or nothing like that, but smoking, vaping, they're stimulants, aren't they?
Yeah.
These types of things. Watching telly, or even it's kind of a you've got to get yourself into a position to get off to sleep consciously, and so that you can get off into a nice dreamy sleep, because that's where it's all at.
Yeah.
I said I was going to talk a little bit about that final stage, that REM stage. I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a second, Toffee. What about you, mate? What are you?
Yeah,
what are you trying to do?
I think a big one for me is making sure I'm hydrated. I do like to drink quite a lot of water, and again, food, man. Food's an absolute killer. I think
9 minutes.
Try and avoid eating past like 8 o'clock.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, because otherwise you're tossing and turning. Your body's obviously still working away, digesting and all the rest of it. Without doubt, you'll wake up so dehydrated you can barely breathe. It's just the worst. So for me, it's just making sure I've had plenty of water. And try and sort of cut off eating, and I mean everything, not even snacking.
No snacking.
Just nothing past 8 o'clock, really, I would say.
That's not a bad thing to try. A bad thing to try. And are you the same with your phone as well? Do you consciously try and put your phone down and stuff like that? Or is that not really a thing for you?
The thing is with the phone, and I'm a younger generation, the phone's an addiction. I've always got my phone, and I try to stick it down, but there's always that artificial light, and I know that is a big one as well. That's something I'm working on, to be fair, is trying to get the phone down, stick it on charge, put it away, and get yourself to bed.
It's difficult, isn't it? Really absolutely difficult.
It is. As with all these things, we're not here to preach. We're not self-help gurus by no means, but we can provide what we find best, works best for us.
Absolutely. We were talking about it at work, and actually a couple of the guys were talking about dreaming. People come into work and say, "Hey, I had a mad dream last night." We get it all the time, don't we? And you were dreaming about Bigfoot the other night. It was absolutely mental.
It often turns up my dreams, Bigfoot. I'm fascinated by it.
Absolutely weird, that, isn't it? Weird.
Yeah, it is.
But I have these weird dreams, and when you go from stage 1, 2, and 3, and then when you go into that final stage, REM, rapid eye movement, man, that's when the magic happens. So what happens is your brain, there's a part of your brain called the pineal gland. It's an ancient part of the brain. It's like a little pine cone, and it's situated in the centre of your brain, just above the brain stem.
Yeah.
Magical bit of kit, this, as far as your brain's concerned.
Yeah.
And even if you go back through all the ancient texts, back to even kind of Mesopotamian and Sumerian times and all of this type of thing, this pine cone, the pineal gland's mentioned, and it's known as the seat of your soul. Which sounds quite interesting, doesn't it? And it is known as that, and it's known like that. It's known as that for a reason. It's also known as your third eye as well. And what happens is that part of your brain, that pineal gland, produces another chemical that's an alkaloid, which is called N-dimethyltryptamine, or DMT for short. You might have been made aware of it. Joe Rogan does podcasts. You can go to different retreats in Peru, whereby in a proper setting you can take DMT and have 20 minutes with God. And it's DMT is known as the God particle as well. And it takes you from, where we are in the physical realm, and it catapults you off into a different state of mind altogether. That's probably for another show. But your pineal gland produces, and your gut for that matter, produces trace amounts of this dimethyltryptamine, which gives you these dreams. And that's why this is, because, we're talking about being chemical factories. That's why you have these mad dreams about Bigfoot. I can't remember what I dreamt about last night, but apparently we can have between 5 and even up to 15 dreams a night.
Is that right? Okay.
Which is fascinating, isn't it? So chemical factory, mate. Chemical factories, we've got all of these things going on. There's loads happening when you sleep. More importantly, it's how to get a good sleep. And I hope what we've talked about there's helped people out a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a question on the tip of everyone's tongue, which is, what is the ideal amount of time to go to sleep? And I would probably say it's horses for courses. Everyone's different. What's your opinion on that one, Sam?
You're absolutely right. Maggie Thatcher is famous for sleeping 4 hours a night. Churchill was the same. Various other people say, if you get 4 hours, you're good. But in actual fact, that's a load of bollocks. You need more than 4 hours. Scientifically, they reckon the magic amount of time is 7 hours. 7 hours is optimal for adults. Maybe it's a little bit more for children. The animal kingdom is a different ball game altogether, but you need your 7 hours. You need your 7 hours because you need to go through those 4 stages of sleep successfully, from start to finish.
Yeah.
And make sure, we're talking about how your body rejuvenates itself and you're plugged in and recharging and your brain's doing all this.
Yeah.
Well, if you're only sleeping for 4 hours, it's not doing all of the things. We sleep for about a third of our life, which is incredible, isn't it? A third of your life, you're asleep, not experiencing things, not enjoying time with family and friends and the bands and all of this type of thing. You're actually asleep a third of it. Do you know what? This sticks with me, mate, because I always think to myself, if you sleep for a third of your life, haven't you got to make the most of the rest of it? You wake for hours. You said it right at the start. It's all about, having that good start of the day so you can enjoy yourself. Yeah. 7 hours, I think, is the key thing. Give or take,
because you hear it all the time. I had a good 8 or 9 hours, and I've still woke up knackered. It can happen, can't it? So I suppose getting that optimum.
It does happen.
Producing that melatonin, staying away from the artificial light, all the everything basically that's going to affect your senses before you go to sleep. Really is one to avoid.
I wake up, my sleep cycle's disrupted, and I wake up and I need a JCB and some winches to get me out of bed in the morning. Like, when your alarm goes off, I'm like, there's no way. I feel like I haven't been asleep. Not all the time, but I do get it, And honestly, it's such hard work, and it takes us about an hour. Sometimes I even come into work after getting up and having a shower and get myself sorted and all that. Even if it takes an hour after getting into work, the eyes are heavy and we're both the same, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's to do with your sleep cycles, your circadian rhythms. Your body clock is what it's known as.
Yeah.
And if I go to bed at 11 o'clock and I wake up at 6 o'clock, I need to change it actually, because I'm waking up in slumber, which is your deep sleep where all of this magic's happening. I'm waking up in that, and it takes you much longer to turn yourself around in the morning when you're waking up in slumber, as opposed to the first stages of sleep. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I need to try and change my bedtime. Maybe I go to bed a bit earlier, not any later. Go to bed a little bit earlier, and still maybe try and still wake up at 6. And that way, maybe I'm waking up not feeling too, absolutely just mangled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, interesting stuff. Well, certainly if you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. I'm sure Simon or myself can pick anything up. And if you want anything more on this topic, again, please do put it in the comments below.
Absolutely. We'll read and respond to every comment. So yeah, like Toffee says, any questions, have some chat in the comments section below for sure.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed this week's podcast. Please leave your comments below of what you think. And of course, what helps you get to sleep, of course, as well.
Absolutely. We do read and respond to every comment at the minute as well. So don't miss out. Get your comments in the section below, and we can have open up the chat about that. And let's face it, it's not just about what we think. We want to hear what you think about sleep and about all of the topics that we're going to be covering on the Yonder Mountain Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you have got difficulty, getting a good sleep, what I would suggest is put on this episode of the Yonder Mountain Podcast, because that might just help you nod off.
It's good sleeping material, guys. It is indeed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Don't forget, guys, if you haven't already done so, check out the link in this video. Come and join us at the Yonder Mountain Adventures Facebook community. We've got, 135 like-minded legends in there at the minute, and it's going great guns, isn't it? Everybody's getting involved, sharing their experiences, sharing their stories. Very, very positives. No dickheads in their mind. It's all about good, positive vibes, and there's 135 strong people in there sharing some amazing inspiration. So if you're wanting to get part of that, check out the link in this description.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's another one in the bag, isn't it?
That's a wrap, sir. It's a wrap. Well done, Mr. Toffeehead. It's a goodbye from me, and it's a goodbye from my good mate and esteemed colleague, Mr. Toffeehead.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.